Hey everyone, we're going to start this one off a little differently today. Unfortunately, I did not have time to write the normal topics, the overview of what we're going to cover. So I'm just going to jump into the topics today. And this is not from a lack of wanting to write the topics. I've just been very busy. Kelly's been very busy doing something else that you'll find out about in due time. But we're going to jump into the topics.
Let's do it.
All right. And a retrial is underway in Livingston Parish for a Denham Springs woman accused of helping an ex-deputy, rape an unconscious victim. And guess what? In this particular instance, I am not going to report anything on this case right now. Why? Because I've been in the courtroom since Monday for every detail. And after this case wraps up, which barring some unforeseen occurrence should happen by this upcoming Monday, I'm holding off for good reason, which will be explained at a later date.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't want to really talk about this right now. Kelly, you got anything to say about it?
I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. And
but there's a reason why, right?
Yeah, in due time.
Ooh, we're leaving them on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But you can trust in this, that when crime happens, guys, sometimes the biggest crimes that make national news happen right in your backyard, and that 6 degrees of separation is real. Let's go to Honolulu. So a 55 Honolulu.
That's the first time we've went to Hawaii,
I know.
I think, in this whole show.
As far as I remember.
Wow.
All right.
I'm ready.
A 55-year-old inmate participating in a state work furlough program has been charged with murder and attempted murder after authorities say he fatally stabbed his girlfriend in a McCully apartment Thursday, stole her car, and drove to, I think it's Capoli?
Sure.
Do you know?
I don't know.
To a place to stab his estranged wife in the neck. So this guy went just wild. John Neapoli Sr. was taken into custody without incident outside the home after a Honolulu police officers had to use a taser to subdue him as he refused to drop a knife. He was charged Saturday with second-degree murder, first-degree attempted murder, second-degree attempted murder, first-degree burglary, and second-degree escape. He remained held without bail on Monday. According to Honolulu Police Department Homicide Lieutenant Dina Thomas, the attacks unfolded across Oahu within roughly 6 hours while Neapoli was out on a resocialization furlough pass from the Community Correctional Center and wearing a court-ordered ankle monitor. Surveillance video and witness accounts show Neapoli entered his 53-year-old girlfriend's Fern Street apartment around 10:30 a.m. Thursday. He left alone around 2:45 p.m. in her vehicle. Her 15-year-old son later discovered her unresponsive body with multiple stab wounds, including defensive wounds to her hands. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Police were called to the apartment shortly after 5:30 p.m. An investigator said Neapoli then drove the stolen vehicle approximately 20 miles to a home that was on a different street in the same area where his 53-year-old estranged wife lived. Around 4:15 p.m., he stabbed her in the neck inside the residence. The woman's 30-year-old son intervened, allowing her to flee to a neighbor's house and call 911. Officers arriving at that address found Neapoli outside and confronted him. After he failed to comply with orders to drop the knife, an officer deployed an electronic conducted weapon, and he was arrested.
Electronic?
I know.
I.e. a taser.
They tased his ass. I wish they would just say
I like electronic conductive weapon.
Yeah. Well, that's whenever, when I tell someone they don't have the balls, I'll say you don't have the testicular fortitude.
Right.
And I just feel really good when I say that, mic drop moment. You don't have the testicular fortitude to drop the knife, sir. All right. The girlfriend's vehicle was recovered at the scene. So the estranged wife was transported to the Queens Medical Center in critical condition, but was reported to be doing better. Neapoli has been serving a 25-year sentence at OCCC for second-degree assault. The victim in that case was his estranged wife and was participating in the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's work furlough program at the time of the alleged crimes. The case has drawn scrutiny to Hawaii's work furlough and resocialization programs, with some questioning how an inmate with a history of domestic violence was granted a pass.
Yeah, I think that, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out when you have domestic violence situations. That's not the people you want to give furloughs to.
No, and why there was not a geofence put in on that ankle monitor? I understand she was working with them, but
But honestly, you can cut an ankle monitor.
No, I know that,
mean,
but I'm saying why she was excluded from the area you can go. I mean, that's just crazy.
I agree.
We have the electronic ability to monitor these people. When domestic violence, you're given a furlough specifically on domestic violence. If you are actually arrested for what you have done and then convicted and put in prison, then that means if they will hit you, they will kill you. I will say that until the cows come home. And then he is just unrestricted to go out there and murder different women.
Yeah.
Not cool. And that's going to be a blunder on their record there.
All right, let's go to Punta Gorda, Florida. All right, a 48-year-old grandmother has confessed to fatally stabbing her 76-year-old roommate during an argument, covering his body with a tarp and fleeing in a pickup truck. Shannon Rose Giblin, who is 48, of Punta Gorda, was arrested Saturday in Sarasota County, Florida, after authorities tracked the victim's stolen vehicle to the neighboring county. She faces charges of second-degree murder and grand theft auto of a vehicle. She's being held without bond in the Sarasota County Jail. Deputies were called to a home on the evening of March 8th after receiving a report of a person not breathing. They then found Paul Dwayne Bradley dead at the scene. Investigators quickly noticed Bradley's pickup truck was also missing from the driveway. Through investigative work, detectives determined the truck had been driven to Sarasota County. They alerted the county sheriff's office, and deputies located that vehicle and detained Giblin, who is Bradley's roommate. After realizing the victim was beyond help, Giblin then covered Bradley with a tarp, left the scene in the victim's pickup truck, and during questioning by Charlotte detectives, Giblin confessed to stabbing Bradley following an argument. Sheriff Bill Prummel praised the swift investigation, and the family of Giblin released a statement expressing condolences to Bradley's loved ones while acknowledging the tragedy. Quote, "Our hearts are deeply saddened by this inconceivable tragedy and utter grief, rather. You must certainly be stricken with what is an inconsolable loss," the family said. They added the incident has once again highlighted the pain and anguish of mental health crisis, and the investigation remains ongoing. But what's really interesting about this and stuck out to me, first of all, a 48-year-old grandmother, and I know those exist, but the roommate was 76.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty vast jump. I'm wondering and curious if that was more than a roommate, because it was a male.
Yeah.
A much older male. Just makes me wonder, are they saying roommate for now, and really that was kind of like a sugar daddy?
It's
I don't know.
funny how our brains work so differently, because you know what my brain immediately went to?
I have no clue.
He's getting
Could be anything.
You hush. He's probably getting like his Social Security or whatever type of check each month, and so if he's lonely, literally my brain thought this, he's lonely and he wants a roommate, and then she could come live and the rent's covered type situation.
Well, it could be that too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, why I would think that, I don't know, but that's kind of how I interpreted that. But I guess we'll see. But talk about young grandmothers. My stepsister is 36 and she's a grandmother.
Okay.
So, it's weird too.
So
She'll say
how is that possible? When did she have a kid?
So
she must have been like 14.
She was very young when she had her daughter, and then her daughter was very young when she just had her son. So it's like they're very, very, very. It's just so weird to hear my stepsister say my grandbaby. I'm like, quit saying grandbaby, but it's true,
right?
Absolutely true. So, and he's a precious baby. But yeah, wow, that's just sad to stab a 78-year-old. I don't just leave.
Right.
It just seems so simple. All right, let's go to Gainesville, Georgia. This one I took hard. But a beloved North Hall High School math teacher and golf coach was struck and killed by a student's pickup truck during a traditional rolling prank outside of his home. The incident, which is part of an annual prom season tradition between juniors and seniors, has left the community in mourning, with the victim's family now urging authorities to drop all criminal charges against the teens involved. And that's unique. You don't often hear that stance from a family. But Jason Hughes, 40 years old, he died Friday night, March 6th, after a group of 5 18-year-old students from the school drove to his Gainesville home to cover the trees with toilet paper, a harmless prank known as rolling. According to the Hall County Sheriff's Office, the students had just finished the prank when Hughes stepped outside. The group quickly jumped into 2 vehicles to flee. As 18-year-old Jaden Ryan Wallace began driving his pickup truck away, Hughes tripped on the wet roadway and fell directly into the path of the vehicle. He was run over and later pronounced dead at a local hospital. The other 4 teens, Ariana Cruz, Aiden Hucks, Anna Catherine Luke, and Elijah Tate Owens, were also at the scene. All 5 stopped and they attempted to render aid before calling 911. Wallace faces charges of first-degree vehicular homicide and reckless driving. The other 4 teens were charged with criminal trespass and littering. All 5 are 18 and were students at North Hall High School. The prank was part of a long-standing junior-senior war tradition at the school during prom season, in which students playfully target teachers' homes with toilet paper. Just hours before the tragedy, the Hall County School District had issued a warning urging students to not let the hijinks go too far. Hughes reportedly knew the students might target him and had been waiting excitedly to catch them in the act, family members said. His wife, Laura Hughes, who also teaches at North Hall High School, and their 2 young sons released a statement expressing support for the students. We ask that you continue to pray for our family and also for the students involved in the accident along with their families. We fully support getting the charges dropped for all involved. This would be counter to Jason's lifelong dedication of investing in the lives of these children. They described the incident as a tragic accident and called for grace and mercy. Hughes was remembered by colleagues and students as a passionate educator and coach who genuinely cared for the kids he taught. A former student called the death a freak tragedy accident with nothing malicious intended, and the investigation remains ongoing.
I don't really have a response to this because it's like, what do you do? It wasn't intentional. I mean, I would agree with the family if they're okay with dropping the charges. I think they're the ones closest to the situation. I would be okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, Jim.
Tell me.
Everyone knows I was a teacher. And guess what? I was part of this very situation where kids snuck up to my house at the end of during the night. They rolled my house. They threw Mardi Gras beads in my trees. And I woke up and thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. Matter of fact, we're still pulling Mardi Gras beads off the top of our trees today. And that was 15 years ago that happened. That's how high they got it. I know. I mean, they faded. It's fine. You can't see them without knowing that they're there. But if this would have happened to me, I'm telling you, if I would have ran outside, because I'm that kind of, I understand this guy. I would have run out there and been like, I got you, and been like one up them. And then I slipped and I got hit. To know that those kids would have been the only reason they would target your home is because they like you.
Right.
And they're going to show, it's playful. That's why they do it. This wasn't malicious. And so while maybe the kid shouldn't have sped off, he's a kid and he was just trying to get away, right? He didn't want to get caught by the teacher, and it was all in fun and games. It's a tragedy, and mad respect for this family because I think it is a testament to the caliber of what type of man he was. That they said, show grace here. Please show grace and mercy. We don't want these kids' lives destroyed. Ours already is. Please don't do this to these kids.
Yeah, I think that you have to take the victims in this situation, the victims' thoughts and requests on something like this. It's just a horrible tragedy. Sometimes those occur where it's just a horrible tragedy. Thoughts and prayers go out to everybody terrible. Involved in that who loved that guy. And obviously he was loved by many.
Absolutely.
So. All right, let's go back to Florida we're going to go to Los Angeles via Florida.
Okay.
So I'll tell you why we're going to do that. And we're going to talk about Rihanna.
Oh, man.
And Rihanna has she's got some problems with somebody looking to take her out. A 35-year-old woman from Florida was charged Tuesday with attempted murder after authorities say she drove up to the pop star's Beverly Crest mansion and fired an AR-15 at the property while the singer, her partner, ASAP Rocky. So it's not ASAP?
No.
Okay, that tells you I'm real up on it. ASAP Rocky.
ASAP. Oh, my God.
Is he any good?
I don't listen to him.
Okay. Well, ASAP Rocky, their 3 children and other family members were inside, and that is no laughing matter. The shooting occurred at 1:15 p.m. on Sunday. That's a weird time of day to do that. Upscale neighborhood, as you would imagine, outside of Beverly Hills. LA police said that Ivana Ortiz, also referred to as Ivana Ortiz. That was, I swear to God, that's how it's written, y'all. Of Orlando, pulled up at the home in the vehicle and opened fire, discharging approximately 10 rounds. Bullets struck the property's gate, an Airstream trailer in the driveway where Rihanna and ASAP Rocky were at the time. So they were inside an Airstream, which AR-15 bullets can rip through an Airstream, right? At least one round actually penetrated the wall of the mansion. No one was injured. In addition to Rihanna and ASAP Rocky, those on the property included the couple's 3 children, RZA, Riot, and Rocky, Rihanna's mother, Monica Braithwaite, and 2 staff members, possibly some neighbors. Ortiz was arrested Sunday afternoon, booked on suspicion of attempted murder, and she had 14 felony counts, 1 count of attempted murder, and then 10 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and some other counts. L.A. County District Attorney Nathan Hochman said outside of court, the family was home at the time of the attack, and her and her partner were together in that Airstream trailer, adding other family members were inside of the residence. A motive has not been publicly confirmed, though investigators are examining whether Ortiz previously posted angry comments about Rihanna on social media. They haven't found that yet, but they're looking into that, and I would imagine something's there. She remains in custody pending further court proceedings, and the LAPD described the weapon as an AR-15 semi-automatic, which we all know kind of what that is. But, it brings to light these stalkers, these people that attack people like Rihanna. And that's why I say that once they start looking in the social media comments and things like that, they're likely going to find something, because you don't just randomly pull up to Rihanna's house and start shooting.
No. But this is, okay, let's go back to last week real quick, our episode where we talked about that woman who improperly and incorrectly accused, a professor in the Idaho murders, and was putting all that shit out on TikTok. Well, this is another, I think, branch of that where crazy people will do things that are crazy, especially when they think that they know something that they don't know. So it says she has beef with Rihanna, a woman she's never met, a woman she's never spoken to, and probably curated off of a story or a song or something that's just like the average person doesn't care about. And you cannot fight fanaticism or crazy. All you can do is react. And when you have someone's children in the home, let alone, they're there, but they're children, this is like, she needs to go away.
Yeah.
This woman needs to go away.
And, fun fact, Rihanna, billionaire. And not because of her singing. Did you know that?
I did not. What for?
She has
Clothing
a makeup line.
Yeah.
And she also has a lingerie line.
Listen, dream big. Kim Kardashian's famous because she's got a big ass and a sex tape, Jim. Maybe we are doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, but, she's got legit businesses. Her makeup line, they say, is worth over $1 billion by itself.
Yeah. Well, that's the route a lot of them take. I think it's Selena Gomez. She's a billionaire. She's got the makeup line.
Selena Gomez? I'm going to fact check you on that.
Fact checked my...
You do your story.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I will. And then you're about
to
feel like a goober because I know what I'm talking about. All right. So, yeah, look, they need to lock that woman up, though. And for the love of God, she should not have access to weapons. All right. Now, let's go to Grant Parish, Louisiana. This one tickled me, even though it's... I'm sorry. I just saw a nod, Jim. What was that
Finish
nod
your
for?
Story. We'll talk about it later.
Uh-huh. That's what I thought. All right. So 2 North Texas women were arrested after authorities say they used a drone to drop hollowed out plastic crow decoys packed with drugs, cell phones, and tobacco into the grounds of a federal prison in Pollock. Melanie Jean Worthington, 38, of Joshua, Texas, and Cassie Marie Cole, 41, of Hearst, Texas, were taken into custody by the Grant Parish Sheriff's Office on Sunday. The pair admitted that they had been promised $40,000 to carry out the smuggling operation. The decoys, realistic-looking plastic crows rigged to a drone, were intercepted before they could reach inmates at the federal prison in Grant Parish. Inside the birds, deputies found meth, marijuana, synthetic marijuana, cell phones, and tobacco. Worthington faces charges of possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana and with intent to distribute, and introducing contraband into a penal institution. Cole is charged with possession of synthetic marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of meth with intent to distribute, and introducing contraband. Whoa, my words.
Contraband.
Contraband.
Yeah,
that's new. Put that on the books. Introducing contraband into a penal institution, and she had an outstanding warrant, Jim.
Oh.
Yes. All right, the arrests.
Make sure you get that.
I know. The arrests mark the 9th and 10th times this year that individuals have been caught trying to smuggle contraband into the federal facility in Grant Parish, according to the sheriff's office. And authorities have not released additional details on how the women were detected or the exact timing of the attempted delivery, but the operation relied on the drone to fly the disguised payloads over prison fences and drop them inside the perimeter, a tactic designed to mimic birds to avoid detection. Both women remain in custody, and this case is ongoing.
So where is Grant Parish, Kelly?
Why do you do this to me?
It's the same place I did it to you last
but you said the wrong place.
No, I did not.
You said
a
north.
listener said, no, it is north.
Of
a
us?
listener had said, oh, it's more central Louisiana. And I reminded the listener that I live in South Louisiana, almost to the Gulf of freaking America.
Yeah.
So anything north of me is north of me.
Yeah,
So it is North Louisiana for me.
All right. I'll take that. It's up above us, y'all.
It's
That's where
definitely
this
everything's
is.
north for where
If we
we're
go
recording
south, we're at the
from.
bottom of the ocean. Like, come on.
Now, I will say this on that case. Drones are becoming a big thing for getting contraband dropped over in, beyond prison walls.
Yeah.
They're just dropping it in the yard, right? Especially in some of these other countries. Mexico comes to mind. But they're getting really brazen in the United States with doing it. As a matter of fact, there's a prison located in Louisiana that has had a lot of problems with drones dropping drugs in lately.
Well, and also what people may not know. So
It's not Angola, by the way.
yeah, I believe you. All the prisons are struggling right now as the advancements in technology.
But I'm saying it's not Angola I'm talking about.
gotcha.
It's a different prison that sounds like Unts.
Yeah, it rhymes with punts.
Yeah.
But no, so what a lot of people may not realize is that allegedly. And
Sorry.
for entertainment purposes only.
Right.
So is that airspaces are restricted over prisons. So if you are even going to fly over that, you have to get with the FFA, and you have to be like, this all has to be logged and expected and all of that. So what I'm assuming is that, and I don't know, just so you know, I do not know, I'm just assuming here, but I bet you, because this is not this drone is not one that's probably got like a commercial flight operator or some crap like that.
I doubt that.
I know. But it probably was not at the height that would register maybe for the FFA.
I mean, it's a freaking bird, dude.
I know, but I'm looking at the drone in the picture here. So what happened here is, even though they're trying to do flight patterns to detect it or go under the radar as a bird, it still would have come up. You know what I'm trying to say? It still would have been something that, because of the height and all of that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not an expert in that, but they have technology to detect this kind of stuff.
They do, but I mean, there's so much going on at one time.
Yeah. Bro, why bird? You should have done a
You would think that would be kind of hard to
You
manage.
should have made the drone look like a bird and then let the bird drop a rock.
Well, they did.
No, look at the drone. They dropped the bird. The drone was not a bird. It was a drone carrying a bird, and they dropped the bird.
Okay, well,
they should have done, so if you want to introduce... No, but I'm saying, like, what if the drone was the bird and they dropped a rock full of meth? That would be harder to detect.
Right. All right.
But I would not
Good
do
story,
that.
Kelly.
That's terrible. Don't do that.
Good story.
And you ladies are morons for doing it.
All right, let's get to Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Pretty cool story here. A former deep sea explorer held for one of the greatest shipwreck discoveries in American history walked out of a federal prison last week after more than a decade behind bars, still refusing to say where he stashed roughly 500 rare gold coins from the legendary ship of gold. Tommy Thompson, how you like that?
Tommy Thompson.
That just Rolls off the freaking tongue, man. The Ohio-born research scientist who located the sunken SS Central America in 1988 rather, was released from custody this past week. He's 72 years old now, and he became a national hero when he found the side wheel steamship 7,200 feet deep off the South Carolina coast. And what could be cooler than shipwreck hunting, right? The vessel had sunk in a hurricane in 1857, carrying 500 passengers and more than 20 tons of California gold from Panama to New York. Thompson's recovery operation pulled up thousands of pounds of gold bars, nuggets, and coins, treasure that sat untouched for 131 years. Portions of the haul were sold for more than $50 million, but investors who had funded the risky expedition, they sued Thompson in 2005, accusing him of cheating them out of their shares. Court battles ensued, and Thompson went into hiding. He became a fugitive and was arrested in 2015 in Florida. Since December of 2015, he had been locked up, but during this whole time that he's been locked up, he's not said where these 500 gold coins were. In February of 2025, the district judge Algan Marbley in Columbus ended the civil contempt sanctions, writing that he was no longer convinced further incarceration would coerce compliance. Yeah, I guess not. This guy's been locked up for 10 years, said, I ain't saying nothing.
My guy.
Yeah, so the judge ordered Thompson to begin serving a 2-year criminal sentence that had been on hold. With that term now completed, he's free, but the coins remain missing, and I bet they've got 1,000 people with binoculars on him now watching him. The coins, once valued at around $2.5 million, are now likely worth far more to collectors, and they've never been recovered. As we said, lawyers for the investors say the fight for restitution is not over. Thompson's discovery is still regarded as one of the most successful, important deep-sea salvage operations ever conducted, yet the legal saga remains to be seen where that's going to lead. But there you have it. And look, shout out to that guy for staying the course, right?
Yeah.
He sat in freaking prison for 10 years. I'm not telling you where nothing is.
I would be curious.
Either he don't know and he's telling the truth, and he don't know where these 500 coins are.
It was 500 coins?
Yeah. So it could be, I know a lot about this, but gold coins are usually 0.73 ounces of 999 fine gold. But on a ship, especially from that time frame, the weights varied. But you're talking about right now, gold, an ounce of gold is about $5,000. That's very high. So 500 ounces, what does that equate to?
Why are you going to ask me directions?
That's $2.5 million just in melt value.
Yeah.
So you can probably double that because these are old rare coins. Mm-hmm. So you can probably double that. It's at least $5 million.
I wonder if he has children, because I don't know. Because I would, if they told me, all right, you're going to do 5 years and then your sentence is up, bro, I got 5 years in me for my children's security of their future. You know what I'm saying?
And so I'm going to say this quickly before we get off this story. I'm going to post his picture on Facebook, but he has a look on his face like, I didn't give it up.
Nope.
Look at it. Look at the look of that picture.
Have you watched Breaking Bad?
Post it on Facebook.
Have you watched Breaking Bad? Did you ever watch the series?
No.
Okay, well, there's a character in Breaking Bad that it's basically the exact same. It's not a shipwreck, but he had some very, very, very valuable stuff, and they locked him up, and he denied that it was him, and he denied that he had it. But right before he dies, spoiler alert, he tells the main character where he hid it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for ruining the whole show.
If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, that ain't the whole show. It's one aspect of it.
It's probably the finale of the whole thing.
I wonder, though, if that's kind of like where they get these storylines from. Because, truth is stranger than fiction.
Y'all never ask Kelly about a movie. She'll give you the ending before you ever go.
Okay, first of all, I don't watch a lot of movies, so that's one I can actually say I went through with it.
She's one of them friends that's like, oh, I went and watched Titanic, and it sinks at the end.
Oh, because no one knows. Jesus. All right, let's move on. We're going to stay right here in Louisiana, and we're going to Baton Rouge, so just a few miles down the road. But right here in Baton Rouge, police have arrested 22-year-old Jeremiah Taylor in connection with the alleged rape of are you ready for this? 94-year-old woman that occurred in the driveway of her home last week. Taylor faces multiple felony charges and is being held without bond in the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. The attack happened around 2:10 p.m. on Thursday, March the 5th, 26th. In the 11,000 block of East Black Oak Drive near the Park Forest and Sherwood Forest neighborhoods. Uniformed patrol officers responded to a call about a sexual assault involving an elderly victim. The detectives with the Special Victims Unit took over the investigation and identified Taylor as the suspect within hours. Taylor was taken into custody on Friday, March the 6th, after detectives released photos of the suspect through Crime Stoppers. Public tips flooded in almost immediately, and they allowed officers to locate and arrest him without incident in the same vicinity, according to the police chief. Within just minutes of us releasing these photos to the public, they reached out to us and we were able to get information about the location of the suspect. Our detectives then went and were able to arrest the suspect within just minutes in the same vicinity. Taylor has been booked on charges of first-degree rape, second-degree battery, cruelty to the infirmed, and obscenity. Morse described the evidence in the case as overwhelming, noting that the assault occurred in broad daylight while the victim, described by her neighbors as a friendly woman who often tended to her yard, was outside her home. Sources told investigators the victim suffered broken bones and remained hospitalized but is recovering. Bless her little heart. The victim and suspect were strangers with no prior contact. Taylor has a documented criminal history that includes prior arrests for first-degree rape. Shocker, right? Why is he even out on the street? Simple burglary, second-degree battery, unauthorized entry, and theft, all within the past 2 years. His most recent rape charges were dismissed by the East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney's Office in January of 26 after prosecutors were unable to locate the victim in that case.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. District Attorney Hiller Moore issued a statement explaining the dismissal. Despite my office's attempts to contact the victim, we could not do so. So by lack of cooperation with the victim, our attempts to locate her were unsuccessful. Without the victim's testimony, we could not proceed to trial. The charges were dismissed in a manner that preserved the state's ability to reinstitute prosecution. I like that. So they didn't just drop the charges. They just, I guess, did the legal steps to move forward. So Moore's office said it plans to present evidence from both the current case and the prior rape allegation to a grand jury and may seek the maximum penalties under Louisiana law, including life in prison. Morse expressed frustration over repeat offenders returning to the streets. It's a source of contention. It's a source of frustration on our department and our officers. Why this has happened is some questions that I would love you all to ask the rest of the judicial system. He added that targeting the elderly is horrendous and unacceptable.
It goes without saying how horrible that is. And look, Chief Moore said it.
Yeah, nailed it.
I can't imagine the frustration with arresting these guys. You do everything you have to do from a policing standpoint. You gather the evidence, you turn it over to a DA, and then these people get out and they're back on the street, and then shit like this happens, which is absolutely 94-year-old woman in her front yard
and broke
minding her own business, and this occurred in public.
Yep.
Allegedly.
And our listeners, I want you to know this, where this happened is not like, inner city, like shoot 'em upville.
No, this is like old town Baton Rouge.
This is like a main thoroughfare, Sherwood Forest. I mean, this is somewhere that is like a middle class.
Well, it's gotten a lot worse over the years.
It has, but it's still considered like middle class. But there's a main thoroughfare there that people use all the time.
Yeah, it's public.
And
it's in the middle of public.
Yes. And I watched his, I guess you'd call it perp walk, while he was being arrested. And
I ain't raped no one.
And the F-bombs. And I mean, let me tell you something, fool. If they don't get you this time, and there's another issue here too I want to bring up just real fast, and it's that they could not locate that victim in that other case. I would be very curious to know why, because this guy...
probably scared.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say, is that you don't know what happens behind the scenes. People who are on the up and up go, oh, well, she's a victim and she, blah, 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 blah. She just needs to go tell the truth. Yeah, until you've got a fool like this who's raping a 94-year-old in broad daylight. You think that he's not scared her?
Yeah.
So to that victim, wherever you are, you deserve to have your day too.
Agreed 100%. And y'all, we're going to wrap it up today. Because it's a little abbreviated, I know that, and we're as disappointed as y'all are, but we got to go to coat.
Yep, we got to go to court. We got some big things coming very soon.
And so want to thank all of y'all for listening. On the Patreon, you are obviously getting this episode. You're listening to it, but no overtime today. We just don't have time to go into overtime because we're working on very important shit.
And you're gonna appreciate it. So please don't hate us today. Hate us tomorrow, but not today. Give us some grace today. They love us.
Yep. All right. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
And we're your host of Crime
Wire
Weekly.